Hey, it's LSFT here today, and today we're going to compare two very similar vehicles, and which one will be the better buy. When the NX was announced back in 2021, they announced four powertrains. The 250 is a naturally aspirated 2.5-liter engine. We have the NX 350, a turbo 2.4-liter engine. We have the NX 350H, which is a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated engine paired with electric motors and a small battery, and it made it a hybrid. Then we have the NX 450H Plus, which uses the similar 2.45-liter naturally aspirated engine paired with electric motors and a much larger battery, when they'd created a plug-in hybrid. And then in 2022, Lexus announced the new RX, and they also announced four powertrains. They made the RX 350, which is the same turbo 2.4-liter as the NX 350. The RX 350H is the same hybrid system in the NX 350H. The RX 500, and this one is a new powertrain for Lexus. It uses the 2.4-liter turbo paired with electric motors and a small battery, creating a powerful hybrid system. And the last powertrain, the RX 450H Plus, which was announced at a later date for North America, so nobody actually got information about what is the RX 450H Plus. We all speculated, based on Lexus history, they would actually use the same powertrain as the NX 450H Plus. So recently, Lexus has finally announced the RX 450H Plus for North America as a 2024 model year vehicle. And at first glance, the specs are extremely close to the cousin NX. But the pricing was not as close as you want it to be. So in this video, I will compare the two models and see which vehicle would be the better vehicle to buy, and now let's get to it. Before we start on today's video, I would like to introduce our Instagram account at LSFT Videos. You can see some updates on my experience with the NX 450H Plus, which may not be shown on any future videos. You can also reach me via direct messaging on Instagram if you have any questions on your NX. And if you like this video, you can provide comments, like this video, and share this video with your friends, and subscribe to my channel, and press that bell icon to get notified when new videos are posted. And if you'd like to support me further and support this channel, you can also provide a super thanks, which is greatly appreciated. And now, let's get to the video. Let's address the elephant in the room first, pricing. The NX 450H Plus in Canada starts at $63,185.50, and you can add two packages to it. The Executive, which adds about $16,550 and making it almost a little bit under $80,000. The F Sport 3 trim adds $16,700 on top of the standard package, making it under $80,000 as well. So you have to keep in mind that you can buy these at a lower price since it includes $947 of dealership fees, which if you have a good dealership, there are no fees. The prices also includes freight, PDI, and a bunch of taxes and charges. And also, the pricing is based off of Ontario, Canada. Since the NX starts below the Canadian rebate threshold, you can actually qualify for a $5,000 rebate, and in British Columbia you get additional $2,000 rebate, and in Quebec you get $5,000 additional rebate. So in Quebec you can get $10,000 rebate, in BC it's $7,000, and the rest of Canada it's $5,000. So adjusting this for Ontario only, okay? The NX 450H Plus base in Canada starts at $58,185.50, and the both Executive and F Sport trims is about $75,000. So here we go, that's the Canadian pricing. And then when we look at the US pricing for the NX 450H Plus, it starts about $59,405 US dollars, and you can add additional features, making it about $64,000. The NX 450H Plus F Sport handling starts at $60,655, and adding options make it $64,420. You also have to keep in mind that this pricing does not include the additional price cost of paint. So if you're looking for Element White Pearl, the Cadmium Orange, there's additional fees to be added on top of this pricing. So now we moved over to the RX pricing. In Canada, the RX does not qualify for any Canadian rebates, not even any provincial rebates. So BC, you would not qualify since it's over $70,000, and Quebec, it does not qualify because it's also over $65,000. So overall, no rebates for the RX 450h Plus. And the RX only starts with one package, and that is the executive package, a fully loaded package that you get all the options you can think of. So that starts at $90,235.50. And again, this includes PDI, dealer fees, and all that. So that's all you have. It's one package. And in the United States, the RX 450h Plus starts at $70,000 and $80. It's actually $70,000. And there are options that you can add. Since the US price builder is not available at this time, I've actually went into the RX and just took the pricing of the digital key and all the other features that you can add and added it all up, making it $72,385. So the range is much smaller in the United States. So when you compare these two, what do you think about the price differences between the NX and the RX? So comparing the prices for Canada, it gives a whopping of $32,050 from the base NX to the RX. And then if you compare it to the Executive or the F Sport, which is very similar in price, it's about $15,500. So that's still a quite significant gap. One big difference is you actually get a rebate, right? So if you're in BC and Quebec, that gap is actually even wider. So that is one thing to make note of if you're in Canada. And in the United States, the price difference is a little bit different, and it's a little bit harder to really calculate because their builder prices are not out yet. But the ranges are about $8,000 to I think about $11,000 to $12,000 price difference between the RX and the NX plug-in hybrids. So from the pricing perspective, the NX is the winner. Since the NX and the RX share the same engine, it's a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated engine, and the net output with the electric motors is 304 horsepower, and that's at 600 RPM at the gas engine. And when you compare the RX versus the NX, sprinting from 0 to 100 kilometers, 6.5 for the RX and 6.2 for the NX. And if you do the US comparison, 0 to 60 miles, 6.2 versus 6. The NX has been reported by a lot of testers that it can actually sprint to 60 at about 5.5. So I think that the RX will have similar performance and probably be under the 6-second mark based on other tests. And when you talk about range, the EV range for RX is quoted at 35 miles. And for the NX, it's 37 miles. So there's 2 miles difference between the two. And when you look at the MPGe rating, it's 83 for the RX and 84 MPGe for the NX. And when you look at the Canadian rating of the liters equivalent per 100, they both actually make 2.8 liters equivalent per 100 kilometers. And now we look at when the EV range has depleted, and now we're looking at the gas engine performance. So in Canada, it's rated at 6.5 city, 7.1 highway, and combined at 6.7 liters per 100 kilometers for the RX. And the NX gets it at 6.2 city, 7 highway, and 6.6 combined. And then when we look at the imperial numbers, 44 miles per gallon, imperial gallons, city, 40 highway, and 42 combined for the RX. And the NX is 45, 40, and 43. So still a little bit different. And then when you convert all those into US MPG, for the RX, it's 37, 33, 35. And the NX is 38, 33, 36. And when you look at it, from comparing the RX and the NX, the efficiency are very similar. It really depends on how heavy is your left foot, and that could actually make that difference already. I think Lexus has done a very good job maintaining the efficiency of the vehicle of the RX. The extra weight is not that big of a difference too as well. So the RX is 2,155 kg with 4,751 pounds. And when you compare that to the NX, is 1,990 kg or 4,387.2 pounds. So the difference between the weight of the two cars is really 165 kg, and that's about 363.8 pounds. So that extra 360 pounds, that 1 mpg or that zero point 0.1 liter per 100 is actually not too bad. Again, if you have an NX and you just put an extra person in or an extra two people in, you would actually have that weight already. So I think we're going to be nickel and diming the efficiency of the two vehicles. So I would say the winner of this, it's a tie. When we start talking about dimensions, we all know that the RX is going to be a larger vehicle comparing it to the NX. So if you need space, the RX will be the one to choose. But if you don't need all the space, the NX is good enough size for many, especially if you don't always have people in the back row seats. So when you compare the NX with the RX, the NX, the length of the NX is 183.4 inches, whereas the RX is much larger, and it's 9 inches larger at 192.5 inches. When you talk about the width of the vehicle, again, the RX is about 2.2 inches wider. It's 73.4 for the NX and 75.6 for the RX. And then when you look at the height, it's also taller. It's 2 inches taller, 65.3 for the NX and 67.3 for the RX. And then when you look at the wheelbase between the two wheels, the RX being 9 inches longer, it is about 6 inches longer in the wheelbase, from 105.9 on the NX to 112.2 inches on the RX. And then when you look at how tall is the RX and the NX when you actually want to go off-roading, well, the NX is about 0.8 inches lower than the RX. So it may be easier to get into the NX than the RX, but it's only about 1 inch, so it's not too bad. So 7.3 compared to 8.1 on the RX. So when you talk about the front headroom, the RX is about half an inch taller, so you have a little bit more room in the RX. 37.1 inch on the NX and 37.6 on the RX. And then when you look at the rear headroom, it is a little bit different, which is quite surprising. The RX is actually has less space than the NX. The NX has 38.1 inches versus the RX only 37. So it's 1.1 inch lower than the NX. And then legroom wise, the front legroom is actually about the same. The NX being 41, the RX being 41.1. So there's not that big of a difference. But then when you look at the rear legroom, definitely people in the rear will have more space in the RX. 36.1 versus 37.4, so it's about 1.3 inches more room in the back row seats. Then when you look at the shoulder to shoulder room, the front shoulder is about 1.8 inches wider on the RX. It's 56.3 inches versus 58.1. Keep in mind the car is a little bit wider as well. And then when you look at the rear shoulder room, it's about 2.5 inches wider in the RX, 54 versus 56.5. So definitely, if you need people in the back row seats, the RX will be the more comfortable vehicle to own. And then lastly, when you drive people, you probably will have cargo. The cargo capacity. So this is another interesting fact here. The NX, we all know it's a smaller vehicle, and it does have a smaller capacity in the cargo. 22.7 cubic feet for the NX versus 29.6 cubic feet. There is about 7 more cubic feet on the RX than the NX when you have the back row seat up. And then when you look at the back row seats down, the table reverses. The NX actually has more room to carry stuff than the RX. It's 46.9 cubic feet on the NX versus 46.2 cubic feet in the RX. So the NX is actually zero point 0.7 cubic feet larger than the RX. Again, not that significant, but you'll be surprised that a smaller vehicle can fit more stuff than the larger vehicle. So overall, when you look at these, I think this really depends on what your needs are. Definitely, if you need someone in the back, you'll pick the RX. But if you're just people who normally drive two people, you occupy the front seats the most, the rear seats are occasionally used, the NX is probably good enough. So here, I'm not going to evaluate which one wins here. I would say it's a tie. When we talk about features, the NX and the RX has a lot of similarities. Both are very well equipped and loaded with features. When we look at the safety department, they both have Lexus Safety System Plus 3.0. But then the RX adds a little bit more to that. The RX does have a driver monitor system that allows traffic jam assist as well, which means you can have hands-free driving during traffic jam stops, stop and go traffic, as long as the driver monitor system sees that you are focusing on the road and not other things. Many will think that it's a cool feature to have, and many will be annoyed with the driver monitoring system because it says that you're not looking at the road. So, anyways, I think that's a wash. Both have 14-inch Lexus interface systems and the 7-inch multi-information system, and has the same heads-up display as well. A few note on differences in features, and mostly these are features that are not offered in the NX. So if you want some of these features, the RX will be the one to get. The RX does offer the 1500 watt inverter, whereas the NX does not offer this. And think about it, the RAV 4 actually has it. Not sure why the NX does not have this. And when you look at the audio system, the Mark Levinson system, a 17 speaker versus the 21 speaker, the ML system is available in Canada on the executive trim only. So the F Sport 3 trim does not get the Mark Levinson on the NX. And other markets isn't even not available. So I believe at this time of recording, the United States do not get Mark Levinson on the NX plug-in hybrid. And then when you look at the RX offering the 21 Mark Levinson, at least it is an option that you can opt for if you think that the Mark Levinson is important. So, Mark Levinson, you probably want the RX. Another thing that a lot of people were not too keen about with the NX was it did not offer the panoramic roof. So, you cannot get a plug-in hybrid NX with panoramic roof. But in the RX, it is offered. So if you want a panel roof and a Mark Levinson, RX seems to be the one. A few more features like the RX has ventilated rear seats and it also has 3-zone climate control. So the driver, passenger, and the rear seats. The NX does not offer any of those. On top of that, the passenger seat memory is also available on the RX. It also has the radiant front knee heater, which is quite good for colder markets. And also another thing good for the colder markets, the Lexus front emblem is heated on the RX and not in the NX. So there we have it. All the features that I found that are different between the NX and the RX. There could be more, and if you have more, leave in the comments below and let me know which one are you going to pick, the NX or the RX. So when you look at the feature wise, again, I don't think this is as easy to compare and see which one's the winner. Definitely the RX is the winner if you are the ones who like a lot of good cool features. Picking between the two cars is like comparing a Macintosh apple versus a Granny Smith apple. Both are apples, but they offer something different. Here are a few reasons why you would have picked the RX over the NX. You typically drive 4 to 5 adults all the time. You want a Mark Levinson system and or the panoramic roof. You don't mind driving a larger vehicle at all. And you don't care how it looks, the spindle grille, the spindle body. The new grille does take a little bit more time to get used to. And if you like the copper crest color, not offered in the NX. And you don't like run flat tires. So personally, I would stick with the NX over the RX. And here is a few reasons. The RX doesn't offer an F Sport, so there is no RX 450h Plus F Sport. So there is no adaptive variable suspension, there's no front dampers, there's no design look, and all that. The F Sport grille looks much better than the RX grille in my opinion. And the price difference seems too steep. The F Sport 3, which is comparably loaded, is $15,000 lower in price when you compare it to the RX in Canada. They don't offer cadmium orange in the RX, and the run flat tires can actually be swapped out. And the size of the NX seems to work better for me and my family. So overall, I think that is the reason why I will continue to stick with the NX plug-in hybrid versus the RX plug-in hybrid. I hope that you found that this video is informative, and until next time, drive safely. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please comment, like, share this video, and if you want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe to my channel and press that bell icon to get notified when new videos are posted. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can provide me a super thanks. And until next time, cheers.